I've got my camp right there.
I don't know anything about recording my voice through this bullshit. Okay.
Yeah, there's a red one in here too.
Hey everybody. Well, let's get this closer. I wanna get this closer. So, hey. Stop it. Heck. I'm drunk. Alright. We're good. I don't think I actually did any real damage. I just knocked over a bunch of maps. We're good. Hey everybody. So I'm gonna draw. I've had a few rum and cokes. Cheers, everyone. I've had a few rum and cokes. I'm gonna draw the Ontario 400 series highway network in MS Paint, and I'm gonna do it after having drinks. So respect my geography. All right. So first off, I'm doing this through OBS. I don't know how this is going to turn out because I really don't know. It says audio input capture. We're good. We are good. I think that's right. So, and I'm doing this on my left monitor, so I'm going to be looking right at the camera. Hi, everybody. All right. So home. We're going to do this with the pencil tool in MS Paint because this is the simplest thing I know. So Highway 401, that is the highway that goes... It's equal to the historical Highway 2. Highway 2 was the highway that went from Windsor to the Quebec border in like Cornwall-ish. So we're gonna draw it out. Now there's a bridge that they're building to go across to Detroit. It's the Gordie Howe. Oh, that's not a good enough. That is not a good enough line. Yeah. I need a thicker line. Let's get that size up to maximum. So we're gonna draw a line that goes through Windsor because that is the Gordie Howe Bridge. Then the EC Row Expressway is its own thing, but it kind of goes up and it goes past Chatham, Kent. Now it doesn't quite go into Chatham, Kent. But it does go up pretty much into London, and then it goes sort of halfway between Woodstock and Brantford. It doesn't quite go into Hamilton or Kitchener, Guelph. It's kind of its own thing until it gets to like Milton, Brampton, Mississauga. Now we're in Toronto. It's just past the airport, so we're gonna go past that. It goes past like the Toronto Zoo, and then it kind of dips south into. It hugs along the shoreline. We're in Oshawa now, and it's just gonna hug along the shoreline until basically the Quebec border, where it just kind of it's part of the St. Lawrence basin, blah blah blah. It goes through Brockville, it goes through Cornwall. No, it doesn't go into Quebec. You're drunk. Stop drawing. Okay, Brockville, Cornwall, boom, into Quebec. Alright, so that's Highway 401. That is 401. That is the backbone of Ontario's freeway network. Now, the other backbone is Highway 400. This is actually the first freeway that was built in Ontario. Or maybe the second. It was the first one that was part of the 400 highway network. So it just goes straight from Toronto north up to Barrie. It kind of goes past Barrie. It turns off. It goes through Muskoka now. That part was built way in my childhood, past Parry Sound, and it kind of ends just north of Parry Sound up in Seguin Township.
Nice.
Boom. That's Highway 400. Alright, so the other important part, and this is actually the first divided highway in Canada history, is Queen Elizabeth Way. Now, I happen to know that this highway is designated officially Highway 451
Like, yeah, it hits good.
in Ontario
Jeez.
lore, but you'll never see a sign that says Highway 451. It's the Queen Elizabeth Way, so it goes from basically downtown Toronto, kind of Whoa, that's a bad draw. I'm doing this with a mouse, so it's a little touchy. So it kind of goes through Oakville, through Mississauga, then through Hamilton, through Niagara County, past St. Catharines, and it ends in Fort Erie going into Buffalo. That is the QEW. That is the other backbone of Ontario's freeway network. So as you can see, we've already got like one road going up to Northern Ontario, one road that goes across Ontario. Now there's more. So we're going to do 402. 402 goes from London, it kind of goes up a little bit north, and then it's a straight line straight to Sarnia, where it crosses into the border into Port Huron, and boom. There you go. Another 400 series highway out. 403 is a little complicated. It's not the most easy track. So it kind of does this thing where it goes through Brantford. It kind of goes up through Hamilton, but it shares a bit of QEW up until you get to about Mississauga. Then it kind of goes up through Mississauga, and then it kind of cuts through, and then it ends at the 401. But the freeway doesn't end there, and I'll get into that more later. So that's 403. It goes from Woodstock up to Brampton-ish, Mississauga. 404. Now, 404 goes from basically the middle of Toronto, and it just kind of goes straight up through farmland, and it just kind of arbitrarily ends somewhere near Georgina, which is like the southern end of Lake Simcoe. That's Highway 404. 405. Alright, 405 kind of starts in the east end of St. Catharines, and ends at the Queenston Bridge, going into across the Niagara River into New York. 406. 406 starts from the west end of St. Catharines and kind of goes through downtown St. Catharines and ends up somewhere in Welland, Ontario. That's Highway 406. 407. That is the only toll highway in all of Ontario. The only one you have to pay to drive on. So it also has a bit of a complicated route. So you start in Hamilton. You start where QEW meets up with 403. Then you kind of do a northeast jiggy.
He doesn't appreciate that I took his tail off.
Then you meet up with 403 in Mississauga, but you go north. Then you meet up with the 401. Then you kind of do this thing where you kind of go into Markham. That's the 407. You go through Vaughan, you go through Markham, you do a little bit through Oshawa. And then you just kind of end. You kind of end. Sorry, I hit the mic. So you're a little bit north of Oshawa, and that's the end of 407. 407 being the only toll route in all of Ontario. Now, the point behind having it be a toll route is it's sort of a bypass of Toronto. Like, say you're going from Hamilton to Ottawa or Hamilton to Kingston. You might want to take the 407 instead of the 401 or the QEW, because those highways will just get you right through Toronto and you'll have to deal with whatever traffic is on them. The 407, on the other hand, there's not much traffic on it. You're not going to have to deal with much traffic. So it's a good bypass, but being a toll route, it's a little bit of a yeah. So 407. There's no 408. There's no 409. Oh, wait. Yes, there is a 409. The 409 goes from the airport in Toronto, Lester B. Pearson International Airport, and it kind of meets up with 401 just before it meets up with the 400. It's a very short, very inconsequential 400 series highway, but that's fine. It's the 409. It's a very important route as far as air traffic goes, but not so much as far as the actual 400 series goes. So, alright, that's the 409. So 410, is there a 410? Yes, there is. It leads from the 403 in Mississauga, and it just kind of leads up past the 407 in Brampton and ends on Highway 10 in north of Brampton, Peel County. So that's your 410. There's no 411, but there is a 412. It leads from basically the 401 up to the 407 in Ajax or Pickering, Oshawa. And then there's another similar for the 418, because there's nothing between 412 and 418. It's just another little connector route. So is there a highway 420? Thankfully, potheads, there is. It goes from the QEW up to Stanley Avenue in Niagara Falls. It doesn't go beyond that. However, the historical route of Highway 420 in Ontario takes it to the US-Canada border at the Victoria Bridge. However, that route is now labeled Niagara Route 420. It has been downloaded, which means basically transferred from provincial duty to county duty, and is the 420 from Stanley Avenue onto the border. The bit that's provincially maintained is only about 2 blocks long. It is the shortest 400 series highway in the system. Now, I actually missed a couple here. So there is a Highway 416 and a Highway 417. I'm actually going to draw out the 417 first, because Highway 17 is an important corridor through the province of Ontario. It is what connects the eastern side of Ontario with the absolute western side of Ontario. The western side of Ontario being like Kenora into Manitoba. However, we have a 417 which connects basically Quebec border, and it kind of does a little dip because there's like a sort of section of Highway 17 that never was bypassed, and it connects to Ottawa, and then there's a bit of 417 that connects to Arnprior. I think they eventually plan to do 417 all the way across the Greater Sudbury, maybe even into Sault Ste. Marie. You know, maybe in 100 years we'll see 417 make its way across Ontario into Kenora. But for now, 417 connects from the Quebec border to Arnprior. And then 416 connects from sort of an arbitrary point between Kingston and Brockville. And, well, I say arbitrary, but it follows the original Highway 16 point. Hence the name 416, up until somewhere just west of Ottawa. It's one of the newest Highway 400 series highways. So there we go. That's about all I can think of for the 400 series. 427. That follows the 27 corridor, which is the very westernmost part of Toronto. And it kind of goes through, and it ends somewhere. It ends on Major Mackenzie Drive in Vaughan. I think it's supposed to sort of continue north eventually until it reaches Barrie when they finally finish it, but as it stands now, it ends at Major Mackenzie Drive in Vaughan. It's one of the earlier 400 series highways, because a lot of these 400 series highways were originally designed to be bypasses for Toronto. So there we go. We've done all of the official 400 series highways. So let's add a little bit to this. So I've done the 400 series. Let's do some municipal highways. So I grew up in Hamilton. And when I first moved out of Hamilton, they had just built the Lincoln-Alexander Parkway, which is a southern route that kind of goes west to east through Hamilton.
I ate a full blast.
And it was sort of meant to be like a bypass, but only partially, because it only ended somewhere around my neighborhood in Hamilton. And then they built the Red Valley Parkway, which went right through my neighborhood, but that was after I moved out of Hamilton. So now there is a proper bypass through Hamilton. You can go around Hamilton both ways on a freeway and never have to deal with it. Guelph has the Hanlon Parkway, which, leads into Guelph. It's Highway 6. Kitchener-Cambridge-Waterloo has Highway 8, which leads up until about Main Street in Kitchener-Waterloo. And then you've got Highway 7, which leads out to the west towards Stratford. And then Highway 86, which kind of goes up to the north. And that's the freeway system out there.
Yeah.
London has Highway 99 that goes up to the airport. Not very much.
All the way down. Thank you.
St. Catharines to Niagara has Highway 58, which goes kind of across the Welland Canal. Toronto has a couple of municipal freeways. You've got the Allen Road, which is very short. It was actually intended to be part of the Spadina Freeway in the 1960s, but they never fully realized it. And so the Allen Road is the only thing that exists of it. Then you go through Toronto from the Gardiner Expressway, and you can get onto the Don Valley Parkway, which leads you up to Highway 404. And then if you're coming from Scarborough, you've got the Highway 2A, which leads you up to Highway 401. The most consequential municipal, although it's not municipal, it's actually like county level freeway, starts just east of Oshawa, and you've got Highway 115 and 35. They're twinned at this point, and it leads up to Highway 407. Fun fact, I'm a motorsports fan, and somewhere between the junction of 115-35 and 407 is Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which is one of Canada's premier motorsport tracks. Anyway, once you get to Highway 407, 115 makes a jog to the east, and it loses its 115 moniker. It just becomes Highway 35, but it maintains freeway status up to Peterborough. Highway 7, which is also a part of a highway that goes through Peterborough, leads its way up to Ottawa, but from the town of Carleton Place, it's a freeway until it reaches Highway 417. Now, disconnected from the greater Highway 400 series, we've got Greater Sudbury, which is the city that I live in. And we have a stretch of Highway 17, the Trans-Canada Highway, that runs through the town of Walden, then down through the south end, and up to the town of Coniston. That is called the Southwest and Southeast Bypass, respectively. Then there's the Northwest Bypass, which leads from Walden up to Rayside Balfour. It's a 2-lane freeway. It does have at-grade connections, but it is connected. It's basically just a free road. Then, a portion of Highway 69 between Sudbury and, I'm going to say roughly somewhere in the French River area, just a little south of the French River border. I guess it would be considered the municipality of Cranberry, Ontario. It's just south of Grundy Lake Provincial Park, would be where the 4-laned part of Highway 69 ends. Eventually, Highway 400 is supposed to connect up to this part of Highway 69 that's been 4-laned, and then it'll all be considered Highway 400 up to Sudbury. There is also a section of freeway which is considered part of Highway 11. It goes past Orillia, Washago, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, and the part of it that's like initially north of Barrie is called a right-in, right-out freeway, which doesn't have big off-ramps or anything, but you turn right to get into it, or you turn right from it to get off of it. But after this, it becomes a proper freeway, going past a bunch of towns like Burkes Falls, Sundridge, and stuff like that, until you get to North Bay. Then it's considered just a regular road level street again. So there you go. That is the entire freeway system, the entire divided highway system of Ontario. I missed one. There's a short segment of Highway 3 through St. Thomas, Ontario that's considered an expressway. It's not connected to any other part of the highway network that does like freeway stuff, but it is considered a freeway in the strictest of senses. So there you go. That is the entire... Oh, no, it isn't. There's one more. This was recently built within the last 5 years, a part of Highway 26 up through Collingwood. It's only connected to other roads through roundabouts, and there you go. Alright, I think I'm confident now that I can say that actually is the extent of Ontario's freeway network. I figured this out after several of these. Alright, I'm going to stop recording now and we'll see how this all turned out.